was just 18 years old when this happened. I had just started my freshman year of college, and like most students, I lived in the dorms at first. It wasn't awful or anything, but I didn't really enjoy sharing a small bedroom with a roommate and not being able to cook. Overall, I just wanted more freedom as a young adult. A few weeks into the semester, I came across a flyer posted on the walls outside the campus library. It read, "Studio apartment available for rent." When I texted the number on the flyer, I got a response right away. Apparently, an alumni of the school who had graduated several years back was now a landlord at an apartment building only a few minutes' drive from campus. She told me her name was Christine, and she seemed very nice and welcoming. She even offered me a student discount on the rent. Christine gave me a tour of the apartment, and the place looked perfectly decent and was already furnished with a working fridge and stove. I signed immediately and moved in 1 week later. During my first night there, I couldn't help but have this funny feeling in my gut that I was being watched. I woke up the next morning with a nasty cold. I didn't think much of it, as it was flu season. Christine stopped by that morning to ask if I needed any help unpacking. When I told her about my cold, she offered to bring me some homemade soup. I happily agreed and graciously thanked her when she brought over several containers of chicken noodle soup. By the next day, my cold progressed into some type of awful stomach bug. I ended up missing most of my classes and rested all day alone in my apartment. That night, I found it hard to sleep again. My body ached, but for some reason, I still couldn't let go of the feeling that I was being watched. At some point, I gave up on sleep and decided to binge watch some Netflix instead. It didn't take long for me to get invested in my show. I don't know how long I had been glued to my screen, for when suddenly, just loud enough over the sound of my computer, I thought I heard the faint sound of footsteps walking close to my door. I paused the sound on my computer and listened closely. I thought about shrugging it off as my imagination, but something deep down told me not to. I quietly got up and tiptoed to look out the peephole. My heart dropped when I saw the shape of a person standing directly in view, just staring at my door. I felt a wave of fear wash over me. Who is this person? What do they want? Making as little noise as possible, I pulled out my phone and typed a text to Christine, saying that some creep was outside my door. I wasn't expecting for the mysterious person to then take their phone from their pocket, seemingly looking at a notification. I looked down at my screen to see that apparently Christine had just read my text. The person in the hall suddenly ducked out of sight. A moment later, Christine sent some sort of text that read, "Hey, I just got here, and I don't see anyone. Can you let me in?" A feeling of doom washed over me as I realized the person in the hallway was Christine. I had no idea what to think. Why is my landlord creeping outside my door and lying to me? Not wanting to let her know that I was on to her, I quickly typed a message back saying, "Oh, the creep left, but I'm going back to bed. I'm really tired." Christine read the messages, but she didn't respond. Making sure my door and windows were locked, I began to pack my stuff as fast as possible. I wanted to get out of there before morning when Christine would probably stop by again. But after an hour, I could feel my body start to shut down. I was still horribly ill, and now I was also sleep deprived. I decided to rest my eyes for a moment, laying back onto my bed. I woke up in complete darkness, having no memory of falling asleep. I noticed right away I had a sick feeling in my gut. Something was not right. To my horror, just above the sound of my air conditioner, I could hear what sounded like someone breathing. Opening my eyes, I looked next to my bed to see a figure standing there. Someone was in my room, watching me. I screamed bloody murder, running full speed past the person and into the hallway. I banged on my neighbor's door, yelling for help. She let me in, and we called the cops. A few minutes after the cops arrived, they came out with Christine in handcuffs. I found out that the apartment I was renting was never actually mine. It was Christine's. Apparently, she needed a senior thesis to graduate, and she wanted hers to be on if human beings could build immunity to rat poisoning by microdosing it in food. She had put dust in the air conditioner so that I would get a cold, which then gave her the excuse to offer me soup that contained rat poison. Christine had let herself into her apartment to observe my symptoms up close, monitoring my breathing patterns as part of her research when I happened to wake up. She had posted a fake flyer for her own studio apartment, pretended to be a welcoming landlord, all so that she could reel in some young and naive undergrad student to use as a human lab rat. The worst part? What was meant to be a microdose of the poison had actually been miscalculated to a lethal amount. I was immediately rushed to the hospital and treated for severe rat poisoning. The doctor said that if I ate one more bowl of that chicken noodle soup, I likely would have not lived to see another day. Christine was thankfully kicked out of school and sentenced to 6 years for near involuntary manslaughter. I was lucky to make a full physical recovery, but the situation left 18-year-old me mentally scarred. To this day, I still have trouble trusting people. Even after a few years of therapy, I still haven't shaken the fear that I'm being used as someone's lab rat.